Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. You're also watching and listening worldwide on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/live-now-dt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So plenty of ways to connect with us, and I am honored and privileged to have this gentleman on the broadcast. We've connected on social media a few times. Now we get to connect picture in picture, and that's Leo Tallarico. Leo here with us today, 2023, that he'll be heading to college with the opportunity to play college football as well as continue his academic career, but not before becoming a state champion in New York State for Class A for 2021's season with the Christian Brothers Academy Brothers football team. So with that being said, CBA's long snapper, Leo Tallarico. A nice German name. I'm kidding. So happy to have him here with us. And when you put Italians on the broadcast together, it always seems to get a little bit better. So let's bring him in here. Leo, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. And first and foremost, congratulations. I know I was there for it. I was there with your guys' run with sectionals, the sectional championship, as well as the state championship. So I had the blessing of being there through the awesome season you just had. But I want to send a congratulations to you personally right now before we get started.
Yeah, thank you. That was definitely like quite the wild season we had. But
yeah, it was crazy. And I want to go back to it. You guys started out 3-0, then you went 0-3, kind of backing into the postseason. Bring me into how this team started 3-0, and then what happened that, in your opinion, how this team ended up losing the last three in the regular season.
I mean, when the season started, we were confident. We've been confident throughout the season, and we just knew we could win. And then what happened was we went down to Indian River. A lot of people don't know this. The team was getting pretty sick. We were going through, a lot of people had like colds and stuff. I was sick. Our whole offensive line was sick. So we actually, we got destroyed by Indian River. And then everybody was kind of like a little bit down in the dumps after that. And then it was sort of like it took us 3 weeks to get back on track and be like, like we know who we are. We know we can win. We know we have the talent. And then we just started to believe in ourselves again. And I think like leading up to those 3 weeks that we started losing, we were starting to get a little overconfident in ourselves. So we kind of like, it was good for us to recenter before the playoffs.
Yeah, and the opportunity, like you said, to show what you guys are capable of and what you could do. Like you said, people not knowing that the team was sick, that getting having the game against Indian River the way you had it in the regular season, that you weren't a full go, and obviously no excuses. But when you have a team that is not healthy, it's very hard. When you're full health and you're going after it, you're getting somebody's best, right? And when you're not feeling good, it's very hard to, stay competitive. So do you feel like the 3-3 record going into the playoffs was almost an unfair assessment of the team?
Yeah, I think going into the playoffs, we knew that wasn't us. We knew we were so much better than that. And we knew that everybody wanted that chance to face Indian River again. We wanted that chance to get FM again. We wanted anyone that we could. We just wanted our second chance because we knew we were going to make the most of it.
So you get the opportunity to get into the postseason, to have new life, to start 0-0. What was head coach Casey Brown's message going into the postseason?
He was just saying, it's a new season. It's a fresh start. Like we knew who we were. We were confident that we could go back and beat these teams. And we didn't have to carry that burden of losing to them going into the game.
And so you had your game against the first game of the season, regular season, was Whitesboro. You had to go to Whitesboro for the Class A of Section 3 quarterfinal round. So seeing Whitesboro again, bring me into that game and what your takeaways were when you had a shot to face a team you had already defeated in the quarterfinals of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that was like we were on the road. They didn't have a good field. So it was I think it was a little rainy that game, but everyone was super excited the whole day. we were confident in our abilities, but, everybody has a little bit of doubt going into the game. But I think like our team as a whole, like we're super well knit and super confident in our abilities. So I think we were able to just prove like, like that 3-game losing streak was a fluke. Like we're better than that.
And then after that, you said you wanted FM again. You got FM again, a 22-12 victory in the Section 3 Class A football championship semifinal round. Bring me into that opportunity to see FM again after you had just lost them very recently, the last game of the regular season on the road, 31-26. You go back on the road again. That was on October 22nd. And then very quickly on November 5th, you have the opportunity to face them again. What changed for you in that FM game that you felt like this team was able to take what you saw on film in that 31-26 loss and flip it to a 10-point victory?
Definitely our defense. Our coaches put together an amazing scheme, and we were able to really shut down that run game. And they had a really hard time putting points on that board. And towards the end of the first game, we knew if there was 5 or 6 more quarters, like they couldn't stop our offense. So we knew we were good with that. Not a lot of teams can stop our offense in this section.
And then you get Indian River again. Indian River defeats you in the first game of that 3-game losing streak, 51-30, back on October 7th on the road. You go back on the road again, CBA having to play away from CBA all throughout here in sectionals. And so you're not at home, but you're in the dome against Indian River, and you win the game 61-26 in Syracuse, but still, obviously away from home there on neutral ground. Bring me into that matchup. I was there on site for that. And you don't know this, Leo, but my girlfriend, Carrie, her first experience of CBA football was that game. So you guys put on quite a show for somebody who had never seen CBA football before. Bring me into a team that, like you said, you guys weren't fully healthy when you faced them in the regular season. They got the best of you in a blowout, and then you turn around and blew this game out more so. So not only did you avenge that loss, but you did it by a larger margin of victory.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing in that is obviously the defense. We didn't allow many points at all, which is completely different than the first game. We were really one of the first teams to really stop Indian River's electric offense. So we did a great job of that. And the second thing is just believing in ourselves again. We knew after that game, everybody's saying, we're going to see him again. We're going to see him again. So like we knew we had that opportunity. That was what we worked for, all the playoffs. And, we weren't going to waste our opportunity.
So here with Leo Tallarico, 2023 long snapper out of CBA, coming off of their 2021 state championship run, and looking at a bunch of different pieces of Leo's world here at CBA. And we'll get to a bunch of different things here, but not before we take a look at that state run. Union Endicott, you had to go on the road for that. Then you had Jamestown, and then Summers in the championship game. 42-0 against Union Endicott, 20-18 against Jamestown, and then 32-31 against Summers. In these final 2 games, in order to win a state championship, you won by a combined 3 points after defeating Union Endicott 42-0. Bring me into that Union Endicott game, and then finding a way to win a semifinal and a championship by 3 points cumulatively.
I mean, like I said it before, it really just comes down to believing in ourselves and being like a super well-knit team.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team that's like as close as us. Like we've been together like since I came into 7th grade. Like I was always with those guys. Like those guys are really family. And like you listen to like what Coach Williams has to say when he won the state championship. It's the same thing. It's that brotherhood and that family and that belief that in the guy next to you.
And you bring up Bruce Williams, and him and I got to talk about this, that, he had a championship as a player, state championship as a player. Now he gets to have it as a coach on this staff. What has he meant to you, and in your opinion, to this program? What has Bruce meant with the fact that he is a former player that can tell you, hey, I know what it's like to get to the end and be able to hoist the trophy and call it ours?
Yeah, I mean, I think like he was able to like give us some experience to where like he went through it. He kind of knew what we were going through, and he knew like what we had to accomplish to get to where we need to go. And then also, he just brings excitement like through practice on the sidelines. Like he's firing us up and getting us ready to go.
So the 32-31 victory that gives you a state championship, I'm at the Dome for that as well. I'm on the sideline. I'm watching this. There's a lot of things that happen in that game. Dan Anderson is a freak of nature. I think you know that.
Definitely.
And when someone is on a football field and you think they're going to run it, and then they pull it back because you're thinking, well, if they run it, they're not going to get in. And then they start running around and they're not getting tackled. And you're thinking, okay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, somebody's got to be open. Bring me into that insane play when Dan Anderson found someone in the end zone. And I mean, obviously every single point mattered in a 1-point victory, 32-31, that he was able to pull off such a feat and just the talent that he has been on the team.
Yeah, Dan is crazy. Whenever you have a playmaker like that, it just changes your game. And that's not the only playmaker we have. We got plenty of other playmakers on our team. And I think, I was playing O-line this year. I was playing guard. It made all of our jobs a lot easier when we have playmakers that we know can break a tackle or two. Then it's just kind of get downfield, make that one block, and they're going to score. And that was the case with Dan, yeah.
So your first thought on that field when the game ended, and it was like, for sure, a victory because I remember watching the clock tick down and me thinking to myself, like, this clock can't tick fast enough for this team. I mean, you're looking up going, is it, I mean, and this my alma mater. So I'm like, is it over? Why did they put more seconds on that? Why are they talking? Why is there 10 more? What is it? 12 seconds? Is it 30 seconds? Like, what is, and I just remember thinking to myself, is this actually the end? When that clock finally struck 0, what's the first thing that you thought?
I was just amazed. I was like, I remember I turned to all the like guys on the line and I was like, guys, we did it. Like, this is real. Like, I couldn't even believe it. It's just like, like it's just a surreal moment.
How did you celebrate the moment when you went home and, be it that night, that week, later on? What did you do to celebrate it, either with friends, with family? How would you describe your celebration?
I don't know. I definitely don't think I celebrated as much as most people because I knew like, like just my personality, like, okay, we got that one. Let's go get the next one, right back to work. But I definitely tried to take some time, my dad was on the sidelines for that game helping out. So, I remember I gave him a hug after the game and, we talked and it was just crazy going home to my family after winning. Like, it's just amazing.
Can we shout out your dad right now?
Yeah. Rich Tallarico.
And for Rich, you said he was on the sideline helping out. What was he doing for the game?
So he was a JV O-line coach. This year he's going to be on varsity.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like an offensive line assistant. He's really like he taught me everything I know about playing offensive line. He played at Albany. So I mean, he's a technique mastermind.
And so, he has that experience at Albany and, like you said, a technique mastermind. What has he taught you? Because you said this season you played guard on the line.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm an undersized guard. So to be able to move these big guys, like you look at the game against Summers, I was matched up against that big kid. I think his name was Polito. He's like 6'4", 300 pounds. And that was my assignment. I blocked him the whole game. Yeah. It's just about leverage, technique, understanding like the really little subtle things, getting under the pads, having a good grip, blocking like the entire play, stuff like that.
And so as you have, learned, like you said, an undersized guard, as you've learned and you've grown, you and I talked about it off the air, you being a long snapper as well. When did you kind of see like, hey, this could be a good fit for me. This could be a good place for me because, there's the long snapper world. It's not something you always hear about, right? it seems like the beauty of being a person in special teams with, be it long snapper, be it a punter, be it a place kicker or a field goal specialist, that if you're really good at it, they'll find you. So bring me into, yes, you're on the offensive line, but when did you kind of get this sense of, hey, I could do this long snapping thing, and if I do this well, I'm going to have a shot, because this is a very specialty niche thing that every team needs.
Yeah, I mean, my story is a lot different than a lot of people's. I started when I was really, really young. I was probably about, I think, fifth grade. I went to my first Coles kicking camp. Coles is like the big national organization that does the rankings for ESPN, and they select people for the Under Armour All-America game. So I went there when I was in fifth grade. It's a high school camp. You're not allowed to go there until you're in like ninth grade, but I got to go there early. And so that was when I met Coach Casper, and he started teaching me how to snap. And then he put me in touch with Matt Keller, who was the snapper at Syracuse, and I started to work from him. And those guys just taught me everything I know at a really high level. Like Matt Keller, coming out of high school, was ranked #1 in the country. And, Casey Casper works with like NFL guys. So like I was really learning some really good technique at a young age. So like I started to just really get it down and become one of the best.
What does it take, in your opinion, to be one of the best at long snapping?
There's a lot more to it than just snapping the ball. A lot of people think it's pretty easy, but there's a huge mental aspect. To me, that's the most important part, because like, you go out there and if you're a long snapper only, you might get 3 plays a game. So that whole time you're sitting on the sideline, walking up and down, thinking, what if I mess this up? Am I off the team? So you got to really be in control of your mind, just knowing that it's a repeatable motion. Just do the same thing every time.
How did you perfect? I mean, obviously you're still working at it, but bring me into how you have put together your technique of how you think is best. Like you said, you know what you're doing. You got it, and you're walking up and down the sideline saying, okay, I can't mess this up. I only got a few plays a game and whatnot. But bring me into your technique and how you've put it together, how you've assembled it essentially.
I mean, it's really just working with those high level guys, going to Cole's camps, learning from them. Like I send film to Coach Casper, like every couple of months or every couple of weeks, just little things that tune up. And then, Matt Keller taught me a lot about like what to do, like when you're a little bit out of rhythm. So like, I know if the ball goes high left, like I know what happened. I can feel it off my hands, and I know, okay, next time this is what I need to do. So just learning how to make adjustments.
And looking at, I mean, what have you taken away from these Coles camps? I'm looking at something back on April 13th here in the studio, 15 consecutive snaps from your day 4 session 7. And then you said 4 days, maybe 500 snaps, 2 locations. Bring me into what these Coles opportunities have done for you at the National Training Center, where you can obviously show yourself out there. I know you mentioned Coach Casper, and you put a special thanks to him for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, those are awesome. You go down, I was at the National Training Center, there's NFL players there just in the house living. They come outside and they just kick or snap or do whatever they need to do. And, it's really awesome to be in touch with people like that, college athletes, just to see like what it's like. I was down there with a guy that's going to Georgia Southern to snap. So I got to sort of, like discuss with him, like what it's like, what college is going to be like, what the expectations are. So I feel like more prepared, because I know what these professional level guys are doing and how they handle situations.
Speaking here with 2023 long snapper out of CBA here in Central New York. That is Leo Tallarico, 2021 state champ here in New York State. You had said that the technique breakdown sessions you had with Coach Casper meant a lot to you. What did you take away from those when you went out to these opportunities, as you had mentioned at the Coles National Training Center? What did you take away from the technique breakdown sessions when you were watching film with Coach Casper?
The big thing for me is, I mean, I look at my technique, I see, like the very minor things that you would never realize if you're not a professional. Like you look at those things and that helps you get a better ball. And then the other thing for me that really stuck out to me this time in particular is, we were looking at my snapping, and it's really similar to this guy, Nick Sonnenberg, he snapped for the Redskins for a little bit back when they were the Redskins. He's retired now, but he was one of the best snappers of all time. So like really looking like our technique is very similar. We have a very similar grip and sort of like way we throw the ball. So it's really interesting just to sort of like see what he does and how he makes it work and sort of like try to emulate that into my snap.
And you said with your connection to Syracuse, and I do want to make a note of this, that you did go and visit Syracuse and had put out that you've trained with 3 generations of Syracuse LongSnappers. You mentioned Matt Keller, also one of my friends, Sam Rogers, and Aaron Belinsky as well. Just what you can say about, I know you mentioned Keller, but what each of these LongSnappers have taught you, maybe individually, maybe cumulatively, but just what your takeaways have been from Aaron Belinsky, Matt Keller, and Sam Rogers to have 3 generations of LongSnappers right here in our community help you personally to become the best that you could be.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody had their own little like special role, I think, in my like coming up. So Matt was really important for like the basis of making my form, making my technique, making me be able to learn like what I did wrong, how to break down film, how to like feel the ball come off your hands and know what you're doing good and bad. And then the biggest thing I learned from Sam is we did a lot of like, it was really fun snapping with Sam. We did a lot of like situational things. He would like put the ball like in a random spot and we go on the sideline and he'd be like, you got 3, like there's 3 seconds left on the game clock. Like, let's operate this. And so stuff like that, situational drills, being able to operate under pressure. And from Aaron, I mean, I still snap with Aaron every once in a while. We're going to start snapping more now that the summer's getting ready, but Aaron's really like a close friend of mine now. Yeah. So it's really awesome just to be able to go snap with him and sort of learn what like a college snapper is all about.
How did you make those connections with Syracuse that you've had the opportunity to learn from these gentlemen individually?
So it all happened at that first Coles camp in 5th grade. Matt Keller happened to be there. And I remember talking to him and he's like, oh, you're close by, like if you want to get working, like I'll teach you how to snap. And so that was really how it started. And then Matt Keller put me in touch with Sam Rogers. And then when Aaron came, Matt was sort of teaching Aaron and he would teach me. So we would snap together and Matt would be there too. And then Matt graduated and me and Aaron started snapping together on our own.
And so, that has now led you to be, and unless it's higher now, the last time that I saw this in 2022, you're ranked in the top 10 long snappers nationally, number 9. Just what that means to you to have that. And obviously you got to continue working, right? Some people forget, oh, I'm ranked really high, so I can just sit back and enjoy it. No, you're ranked really high, so you got to keep working at it. What does it mean to you to be ranked nationally in the top 10 long snappers in the country? And how do you stay humble with that?
It's always a process. You're always getting better. I know that I can get better every time I go out there and snap, unless I'm putting everyone through the target. I know that like every day I can get better and better. So that's really like the main thing for me is just, I'm always in journey mode and I'm always continuing to get better.
There's a lot of information here. We would be here for many days, tribute to you, because there's been so much. So Wednesday, June 15th, you got invited to Minnesota for the Golden Gophers for their specialist camp. You had a virtual visit with Stony Brook and the Seawolves. You had a virtual junior day with the Georgetown Hoyas. We'll forgive you for that here in Central New York. You also had Davidson had a virtual junior day for you. You had a connection to Colgate football for junior day as well. And, looking through this specialist camp at Dartmouth, as well as Cornell reaching out, Lehigh reaching out to you, and the list continues to go on here. Yale, congratulations to that. And then from Yale, we also have some of the other things. Syracuse obviously came up, and I know that you got to go over there. You had the opportunity to get invited to a specialist camp in June for West Virginia, for NC State. And then also we were talking about off the air, the opportunity. Well, I want to mention Brown University as well. And then off the air, we were talking about the South Carolina Gamecocks and then the TCU Horned Frogs. That's a lot of greatness here in our community, in the world of academia beyond football. And then, you know, when you see the likes of these Power Five opportunities, the quote unquote Power Five, the autonomy group and what have you, when I read off that list, which I would think is only going to get longer, what comes to mind to you? Because there's so many that I don't want you to have to break down them all, but there's a lot to be said about that list.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me is academics first. You know, I'm not going to be playing sports my entire life. Eventually, it's going to come to the end, whether it's in college, whether it's in high school, whether it's in the NFL. There's going to be an end. So you got to, you know, strengthen your mind first above all. So really, when I'm looking at these schools, I'm looking at, are you a top psychology program? Because that's what I'm planning on majoring in. So, you know, I really am looking at the academic rigor first, and then I'm looking at, you know, the athletics, the athletic reputation. But one of the most important things to me is just like, you know, I'm a long snapper. So it's really like, how do you feel like, am I wanted there? You know, how much do you care about having me there, and how much can I impact your team?
Yeah, you know, and having all of these opportunities, I know you can't maybe necessarily go to everything, but do you already have some specialist camps set up that you're definitely going to?
Yeah, I'll definitely be at Duke.
Okay.
I'll definitely be at Minnesota on the 15th, and I'll definitely be at Chicagoland, which is Northwestern. But there's going to be a lot of, all the Ivy Leagues will be there. There'll be a bunch of schools there. And then there's a couple, really it comes down to, I got to make the schedule with my dad. We're not finished, but we got, those are all in 1 week. So that's going to be a big, fun road trip for us.
Yeah, and it's coming up, you know, this summer here that you get to travel. What's it like to have a family? And obviously, like you talked about, dad making the schedule with you, to have a family so supportive, and then your father, Rich, saying, you know, okay, hey, let's do all that we can. Let's jump in the car. Let's make it happen. What does that mean to you, that you have that support and that love, and that you're going to have somebody right there by your side through it?
Yeah, it's really awesome. I know I would not be here without them, because like, I mean, me and my dad all the time, we're reading books, trying to do anything we can to make get myself better, and he's such an important part of that, whether it's just like providing financially, or just, you know, just doing whatever he can to help out. We sit down, we discuss, you know, what's going on. We read a lot of like psychology books and try to figure out like how we can get our mind stronger and tougher and be able to handle these high pressure situations. So just, you know, everything.
I got to ask, since you were trained by 3 decades, you know, three opportunities, three different long snapper worlds, I should say, three chapters of Syracuse football. Is there a hope? Is there a conversation with Syracuse, Coach Lig? I mean, what's going on with Syracuse?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple good conversations with Coach Lig. I talk to Aaron all the time. You know, when I had the visit at Syracuse, Coach Lig walked me around the whole time. We stayed, we talked for a long time. I was probably there for like 4 hours. They are bringing in a 22 guy. So, I mean, that complicates things a little bit, but you know, you never know what could happen, especially with the transfer portal.
You discuss academics being paramount. I respect that. And being a graduate from Christian Brothers Academy, I know that that's not blowing smoke when you say that, because education has been huge. And as you and I were talking about off the air, I credit CBA with preparing me for college, because I never once at college felt like, uh-oh, I'm not prepared for this. You know, it almost felt like it was you know, like on the same line, like a parallel. And you know, I felt totally challenged at CBA, felt totally challenged at Marywood University. What can you say about the education you're getting at Christian Brothers Academy, and how you're not just telling us that it's important to you, but that it actually is?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody there is super committed, whether it's teachers, students, like we all know why we're there. It's not just a public school that you just go because you live in the district. Everybody's going there because they want to learn. And whether you're an athlete or you're just a student or you're in the orchestra or whatever, all those guys are super committed to their academics first, above all.
For you, as you step forward and you have, another season, another opportunity before you have this chance in college football, is there a school or two that you circled as a kid? Is there anything that you're hoping for, or someone you're hoping to hear from, or a coach? Is there someone in the specialist world that you really would love to work with? Is there any connection in that respect of kind of a wish list, so to speak?
My dream school as a kid was always Stanford.
Okay.
I would love to go there. I've had some communication with the coaches and they invited me out to their camp. So, we just got to see what happens.
That coming from Leo Tallarico. Leo, I was at your ring ceremony and I got to see the unveiling of the rings. Casey and the staff, I want to thank Christian Brothers Academy. It was a closed event to the team and they let me be a part of it. And I got to see that ring, which is right behind me here, and I asked Casey, I said, can I take a few pictures? He goes, do whatever you want. Took it off, handed it to me, and he's like, go, do what you got to do. So I'm still waiting for mine, Leo. Maybe you could put in a good word for me, but because those rings are very nice. Bring me into the ring ceremony and just what it meant to you to open the box and to get your ring, because that is a moment in history that so few people, when you look at the percentage of the world that gets to open up a box and have a championship ring in it, you're in a very tiny percentage. What did that moment mean to you as you were opening the box?
Oh, that was crazy. I was not expecting those rings to look like that. Those look like Super Bowl rings. Like it was just, I was blown away when I saw them. It was just, I didn't even know what to say.
Where is your ring?
My ring is right next to me.
Can you show the screen? It's right there with you.
Yeah, I keep it in the box. A lot of people like to wear it to school, but I don't want to damage mine because too important to me.
So you keep it at home. Percentage wise, what would you say percentage wise the team actually wears their rings to school?
I mean, not a ton of guys, but it's those seniors. A couple seniors like to wear it around.
Okay, fair enough. So you're keeping it in the box safely right there with you.
Yeah.
Very nice. I like that. But you've been so great at answering my questions. Leo, I do a thing on my show called Rapid Fire. It allows us an opportunity to jump away from the world of sports, or you can stay with it. But I don't really know any other broadcaster that allows themselves to be asked questions because they like to ask the questions. But I believe in fairness. So you've been great. I'm not going to put you on the hot seat. You can ask me any 3 questions about anything, and I am right here on screen with you. So I have to answer the questions. Whenever you're ready, you fire away.
Let me think.
Okay.
So you went to CBA, but what did you do there? Like what sports or extracurricular activities?
Yeah. So I was in peer ministry. I helped to run social justice. I was involved with the talent show, singing wise. I played basketball outside of CBA, but I did try out a few times there, and because basketball was always my thing. And then what else can I say that I did there? I loved my intro to business course, which I was the general manager of the Jaguars in one of my projects, and I still think I would do a better job if I had the shot. Shout out Trent Belke. No offense to you, brother. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, I mean, I was involved with peer ministry. I was involved with giving back, and I was a student that really focused in on my academics. I had a 98 my junior year, I think 97 my senior year. And I did what I could to get as much experience as I could. But yeah, I would probably, I would say this about the football team. Brandon McInerney went to school with me And he said to me, he's like, I've been watching you in gym class and whatever. And he was like, you're scrappy and you're like good at getting out of situations. He's like, I talked to coach. I think you'd be a good running back. And then he came back to me and I was like, well, what did coach say? I think it was Coach Kaz at the time. And whichever coach he talked to, but Coach Kaz was the head coach. And he said, you got to gain 100 pounds. And I said, absolutely not. So I was like, that, where do I put that? I'm five, at that time I was like 5'5", I'm 5'8" now, but yeah, I mean, it was a nice compliment, but I can tell you that if I was ever the running back, I would never want to be touched. I don't want anybody falling on me. So I'd be behind you, whispering in your ear, being like, Leo, you better break that hole and I'll run through it, but you got to make it for me, because I don't want anybody laying on top of me. I'm good on that. So yeah, I was always the guy in pickup games, right? If I was a receiver, I'd line up on the outside. I don't care if it was first down, and I'd try to outrun down the field. And I was like, and they're like, why? I was like, I don't want to get tackled. I didn't. I'm not going to lie about it. So I just tried to, we didn't have pads on. Like you guys have pads, but yeah. So the really big part of what I did was in kind of like the campus ministry world of it and trying to make a difference. I was involved in the retreats and whatnot. So I tried to do what I could there to hopefully bring some more positivity to the community.
Yeah. You said you were a basketball player. Did you try to play in college? And what was it like trying to get into colleges and figuring out what the best school was for you?
I got a phone call, D3. I'm a 3-point shooter. And there's more to my game than that. But I was always somebody that free throw wise and 3-point, like I wanted to be able to shoot from anywhere. I wanted you to be able to pass me the ball literally anywhere and I could make that shot. And my favorite shot, and it's funny because as we're talking here recently, I went out on the court with my girlfriend for the first time. We had never played basketball together. And I told her, I said, I got to make a corner three. I said, once I make the corner three, we can go home. And I hit it on my first shot. And I was like, well, we can go home now. But that is a really hard shot, right? Because you don't have an angle to get it off the backboard. You got to shoot it straight on and you literally have to be perfect with it. And that was my favorite shot. It still probably is. So I got a call from Marywood from the coach, and I was playing CYO ball. I played outside of CBA. We had a really good team at St. Joe's and Camillus. I didn't think I was going to get any phone calls. I didn't think anybody saw anything that I did. I really didn't get to play that much, and I busted my butt in practice. I hated to run, but I gave it whatever I could. And I got that call. I was coming off of a not great coach. And so I told the coach at the time, Eric Grunman, hey, I don't know. I said, how did you hear from me? I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like a prank call or whatever. And he was like, no, he's like, I heard that you could shoot. And I said, from who? And he's like, I got eyes and ears everywhere. And I was like, okay. And he was like, well, why don't you come out and work out with the team? Because, D3, you're not getting a scholarship to play for free or whatever. And so he's like, why don't you work out with us? I was like, I'll see. And then he was like, no, like really, like, even if you don't want to play this season, like train with us. I want to like see what you got. Are you comfortable? And I was bitter from the coach that I had. And I ended up getting called to broadcast November of that year as a freshman, 2003. And then I created MU Courtside and I never left the sideline. In my senior year, I thought about trying out for the team because I really wanted to play, but I couldn't give up being a broadcaster. So, would I have liked to play college ball? Yes. Would I change the trajectory of my life based on would I have gone back and not broadcasted? No. I was trying to figure out how to do both and you can't. So I'm happy with the choice I made, but you put me on a basketball court, I'll play all day. Final one you got for me.
My last question is, as a reporter and as a fan of CBA, what were you guys thinking like throughout our whole like season? We went 3-3 and then a lot of people started to write us off. Everybody thought we were going to lose the Indian River game. All the reporters had us getting blown out. So, what were you thinking?
Well, as your head coach, Casey Brown, can tell you, and I'm sure Bruce Williams can as well, I am a media person by my badge. But as far as how the media acts, the 99.9% of them, I am the 0.1%. What I mean by that is I tell the truth. I care about you guys. I care about every man, woman, and child that's playing any sport. I will care about you when you're the long snapper. I'll care about you when you're the starting quarterback. I'll care about you when you're the fourth string corner. And if you're a janitor 10 years from now, I'll still talk to you. If you go to the NFL, I'll still talk to you. I I think it's imperative to have my faith first and God first. I believe building relationships is more important than writing a story. I will not abuse the privilege of getting to know someone like yourself. I will always tell the truth. And I am more concerned about you and I talking 30 years from now than I am about twisting your words around, hoping that it makes me famous. So, what did I say when the playoffs started? I never counted you guys out. I never once thought to myself, you can't. I don't like to think that of any team. And in all honesty, I educated myself more after the regular season about, your team and this year. And I always stay in touch with Casey. And I just felt the need to be there. I felt the need to support. I never said you guys will lose to Indian River. I don't. I think the media doesn't realize that when they talk about people, they're talking about people. I'm going to say that again. When the media writes and says things, they forget that you're human beings. I believe there's a constructive way to criticize something without losing the respect of the people that you're criticizing. And I know that the 99.9% of the media that doesn't care would never want to be criticized at their job ever. And they probably wouldn't be able to handle it. So do I think it's fair the way you guys were treated? No. Did I smile every time you guys won? Yes. And did I take it really personally when you got a state championship? I did, because Casey wanted me to be on the sidelines and I didn't think I deserved that. And when he told me that I could stand there and I turned around and I looked at the crowd supporting CBA, I just looked at them and I looked at the field and looked at you guys and looked back at them and looked back at the field. And I thought to myself, never in a million years did I think that I would, 18 years removed from CBA, be standing on the sidelines and be invited there. So I loved every minute of it. I'm happy to see what you guys did. And I've never counted out, I don't count people's spirits out. I don't think that's fair. I think you pick a winner and a loser and you try to predict and whatnot. But like I said, you do it with a level of respect. But I can honestly say I never said you'd lose to Indian River. I knew it'd be a tall task, but you guys responded in a huge way. And, I honestly could not be happier to be on the field in that moment, because hugging Casey after the game was bigger, and what we said to each other was bigger than any interview that I've ever done with him, because it was very personal. And you guys gave me something that was super personal, and it went beyond being a broadcaster. So I'm going to say thank you for that. And I'm happy you proved people wrong, but I'm more happy that you proved yourself right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for always supporting us. I know you're always a big fan and always one of our only reporting supporters.
Well, I appreciate that. And, I'm proud to be there. And if I'm the only one, I'm the only one. If there's 100 of us, then I'm going to be there. And, I appreciate the fact that you guys allowed me to be a part of this and that you've welcomed me in. I see you, I see Tristan, I see Amari and, of course, Irby and Jordan Ray and Sire and so on and so forth, reposting things that I put up there or checking things out and whatnot. So, your support back to me has been incredible, and I value that tremendously. And, I'm just excited to see the journey, man. I'm always about getting people from Central New York to their dreams. And helping to recruit CNY, support CNY, and get you guys out there. So whatever I can do to help is always, you know, something I want to do. And I'm just excited for your story, man. Leo, wherever you go and whatever you do, like, I'm going to be a fan of it. And, you know, selfishly, I just ask you to call me first. That's all. So with that being said, for Leo Tallarico, 2023 long snapper from Christian Brothers Academy and a 2021 state champion here in New York State, I want to thank you, Leo, for being a part of the show. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.